Welcome to Offsite Dirt, the podcast committed to uncovering all the insights of the offsite construction industry. Join us as we delve into the realm of offsite construction solutions, modern building methods, high performance construction, lean manufacturing, and beyond. Your experiences fuel our passion for the industry, fostering collaboration and driving business growth worldwide. So let's get down to the dirt. Here's our host, Audrey Grabesic. Hello and welcome to Offsite Dirt. I'm the founder, Audrey Grabesic, and we are talking real estate. We're talking construction. We're talking real estate dirt and all the dirt about it. We have met David Pearsons, or I've met him, luckily enough, at the World of Modular, and I was totally intrigued by this kind soul, this man that is truly humble with the amount of professional expertise that he has in real estate. His company is called Buildings. And super excited about having him. David, welcome to Offsite Dirt.
Right. Thanks. Excited to be here today. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to also mentor my daughter. And that was amazing. Thank you so much for helping promote women in real estate.
Well, it's wonderful to meet Julia. She is definitely already way beyond where I was at that age, and I'm only more excited to hear about how she progresses and where she goes, because she's got a stellar ability to move forward in the industry, and it takes all of us to hold each other accountable and to help each other out to make it that much better. So I'm excited about the opportunity to be with her.
Thank you so much.
So, David, I would love for you to kind of start a little bit with your background, and then we're going to jump into real estate, and we're going to talk a little construction. We're going to talk a little bit about prop tech, something that many people may not know about. So let's start with you first.
Great. So my background goes way back over 25 years ago, and I started out my career in multifamily acquisitions, dispositions up in New England in Boston. And would buy anywhere from 50 units to 300 units and take them and reposition them, basically go in, kick everybody out, renovate all of the units, come up with a vision, a new marketing plan, and then execute on it, release up the property and make them profitable and turn around and sell them or keep them as part of the portfolio. That was for a small boutique firm in Boston. And then from there I went on to the next level of my career, which was commercial real estate. And I actually moved to Brazil in 2008, where I started that. I adapted my skill set from Massachusetts into the skill set in Brazil. I worked for a boutique firm down there as well. We had anywhere between 50 to 100 people. And we had the opportunity to set up the first 24 mall Walmarts in the country of Brazil. Got to work with a lot of major clients that we all know: Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple, Motorola, General Motors, a lot of automotive suppliers. So got the full gamma everywhere from, Class A office locations, build outs, facilities management, project management, to data centers, technology manufacturer facilities, and a lot of automotive suppliers throughout the country, from the Amazon um, basin in Manaus, the free trade zone, all the way down the Argentine border. In 2014, we moved back to the U.S. and I started working in Boca Raton. Started in the same scenario, doing build to suits. I used to do those in Brazil as well, and focus more on that. And then started working for a company called Lincoln Property Company, the largest private developer in the U.S. And just started in real estate development. And from there, I moved out. I went on to my own. I just said, "Hey, this is amazing. I know that I can do a lot more than I'm doing here." And I just became an entrepreneur, and it's been going great ever since. We met at the World of Modular because I'm helping a few different private equity firms, and one of them happens to own a company called Gurdon Modular, who is the granddaddy of modulars. They've been in business for over 25 years, over 200 successful projects, and I've been helping them create a pipeline of modular development across the western part of the U.S., from Denver all the way over to the Pacific Ocean.
It's wonderful. And I love that you've brought in a little bit of offsite for us. We are big fans of Gurdon. For many of you that may not know them, I believe is it Boise, Idaho that they're located?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they are actually getting ready to find some ground in the Colorado market. So it's exciting to see their expansion. And I'm especially very thrilled to hear that your team is finding these opportunities for them to build, because really all manufacturers right now, with a really soft, last quarter and the quarter before, a lot of them are looking for developments, and a lot of them are looking for new projects. And the ones that they currently had on the books closed because of financial situations from the general marketplace, So it's nice to see that you're dipping your toe into an industry that is ever growing and needs the help. So David, when we are talking about the challenges of finding good dirt, how do you really do that in real estate? And how do you know if it's good, if it's bad, or in between?
So there's so much to cover, but it's pretty basic. Good dirt in real estate works like this. It has to do with finding the right location, and we always start with the rents. So whenever I go and I start doing my site selections or prospecting for new sites, first thing I do is I go on to apartments.com and I start looking them up. And for the modular industry, there are certain thresholds because in modular, for I want to say for each product type, whether it's like a 3-story garden style or walk up, no elevators, or you're going, 5 stories, or you're going, 5 stories over a 1-story podium, whatever that looks like, you need different rent structures. So start with the rents. So the market needs to be correct. There needs to be zoning. You also need to have a city who's supportive of housing. So I really like California personally because all the cities and counties, they have quotas and they need to meet them, and they're crying for people to go out there and build. But there's challenges out there as well, which we'll go over that in just a moment. So we talked about the location, the rents, the zoning, the city support you. There's the entitlement process, which every community is a little bit different. In California, you do have some hindrances, which is the CEQA, it's the California Environmental Quality Act. And if you're under 5 acres, you can streamline it and get it done in 90 days. If you're over 5 acres, it takes about 12 months. Uh, Either way, there is a problem, and that's called NIMBYism. Are you familiar with that?
No, why don't you tell us a little bit about NIMBYism?
NIMBYism is NIMBY. It's not in my backyard.
And there seems to be a lot of that discussion, right?
Yes. So it's it's a phenomenon that's going across the US. And there's also YIMBYism, which is yes in my backyard. But we're only concerned about NIMBYism. So just using California as an example, with CEQA, if you go for the short term, the under 5 acres, a streamlined format, uh, you get the NIMBYs that come in and they try and sue you or the city and say that they want you to do the full process because you're really affecting the environment. On the opposite side, there's also unions. If you're not using union labor, they will also exercise and sue the city and force you into a long process. So you just have to be careful. You have to understand the market you're working, and that's specifically California. Then you go up to Washington, Seattle. You go out to Denver. Everyone is very unique, but so the challenges for buying good dirt is really finding rents, cities that will work with you, and I want to say laws that work in your favor.
I think that's
So
really good advice, and I think we're seeing more of that, right? We used to have all these developers in all these different areas, and now they're getting smarter and wiser. And I agree with you about having people that want to work with you. Why would you want to go through all of this madness when you can't have constructive conversations, being productive, knowing that there is a need for housing and creating these solutions? It's hard enough trying to build, but now we're going to walk into real estate and land and all the scenarios that you specifically spoke about, and we want to reduce those challenges, right? We're here for the greater good. We're here to actually build buildings. We're here to do projects to get more people into housing. So buildings in general, in case everybody may not know, he has three different areas that he specializes in, David does. Speculative development, project management, and capital stack solutions. They're a full service, a multi-asset class developer with turnkey strategies for turning opportunities into real estate assets. So I love that, and I wanted to mention that because you have a wider spectrum than just the real estate and just the dirt. When you're looking at the future of construction through the modular lens, and now that you have been in this space and you have this great expertise with Gurdon, and again, Gurdon is a wood frame manufacturer that does volumetric, and they do a lot of multifamily. They're in the wider scope of volume of product. So what have you seen for the future of modular construction?
So, so, so for so a lot of, as we all know, we're all in offsite dirt. We're all into modular construction. So there's a lot of benefits, and I want to say there's so many benefits. I don't think we really need to consider the cons because the market's changing so much that it's hard to find skilled labor. Nobody wants to go out and pound nails anymore. Everybody wants an office job, a service job. So we're talking about, like skilled labor mitigation. How do you do that? If you put that into a factory, you get 9 to 5 employees, or they work from 8 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And interesting enough, there's a lot of women getting into construction because they can go in and they can work and they can, pound nails with air guns, and they can go and they take days off, be with their children. And it's not really that heavy work because, they're picking up, wood frame in this case with Gurdon, and putting it together. There's cranes. So I must say skilled labor is one of the big benefits. Another one is for developers. While you're building out, so you find your site, you get entitled, you're building that out while you're doing all of your earthwork, pouring your foundations. Everything's being built in the factory. So then, as soon as you get those foundations, you ship the modules out, and bam, you build it. So what does that do? It really tightens your schedule. So when you're doing real estate development, one of the biggest constraints is your capitalized interest. So you think about that. You're paying interest on the money you're using to do your construction. So in this case, you're shortening the time that you're paying interest on that from, say, 18 months of construction into 12 months to build out the site, deliver the product, and start leasing up. So you're leasing, say, a month 13. So that means you're going to stabilize, in month 15 or 16, while the other people are still going, into month 21, 22. So there are just so many benefits from doing it. I don't see any cons other than with wood frame, type 3A, you have an 85-foot height limit or 5 stories because of the fireproofing requirement, and the just the structural weight, because you have a frame on the bottom and on the top of each module. But in general, there are just so many benefits. There is nothing negative, and it's reduction of waste. It's green. Everything's done in the factory. All your plumbing, your electrical. Actually, there is one negative part, and this is for all the general contractors out there looking to get into modular. Even just last week, having a general contractor look at one of the development projects I'm working on, they came back with these really crazy numbers for MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. And I'm like, what are you doing? I said, all that's done in the factory. It's included in the quote right here. They don't know how to bid it. So uh, I've worked with a scheduling consultant to put together a responsibilities matrix. And that's going to start going out with every bid. So when we bid it out to the GCs, they see, okay, for each module that I stack in place, I know the electrical is in place. They have to put these connections together, and they need to secure them and inspect them. So just say for each module, there's 3 connections. Each connection is 15 minutes to secure, inspect, and sign off on. That's 45 minutes per module. You have 100 modules, that's 4,500 minutes. divided by 60. That's how many hours that they should be billing on the module going vertical. They shouldn't be billing all the equipment, because typically what we've seen is general contractors go and they say, "Oh, this is modular. Well, I'll just give you my full price for a stick build, and I'll take 25% off." So that's the only downside.
I agree. We have these conversations all along, and I think it's very smart to have a scope of work. We have to have a scope of work of where all these different, all these different areas meet. So we have the scope of work for the site work. We have the scope of work for the factory where it starts and ends. You bring up a really good point, and I actually did this with my crews when I used to build modular projects. We actually went to the factory, we looked at the plans, we looked at the actual modules that were being built, and we brought in our MVP specialists. So we brought in our mechanical, our electrical, and plumbing contractors. And you know what that did, David? It really started an understanding of communication, because even though you're explaining to them that this is going to take 15 minutes, this is the situation, again, for them to visually see it and understand it and plan for their crews, there really has to be a greater awareness. So that's what we're starting to understand. But that greater awareness and that greater ability also allows them to do 10 more projects instead of just one for 1 year, right? So we're working with efficiencies, we're working with productivity and standardization. All these things are what helps us to design and build for the developer. I think you also brought up a really good point, being the developer, is the first project is always going to be the most difficult, just like the first house that you ever built or the first family, traditional, multifamily building. It is always a learning curve. It's always a learning curve with products and supplies. It's a learning curve with finances. It's a learning curve with your contractors. It's just the nature of the business. Nobody can walk into a project and do it 100% on, especially when we're talking about construction, where there's always going to be solutions that are going to need to be made. So when we're looking at the developer standpoint, it's all about, like you said, getting people into those buildings and creating profitability as quickly as possible, right? How can we get people in the buildings and start paying down these enormous amounts of costs that we've incurred in order to build these buildings? So it's always about the efficiency. So the first one's always going to be the one that's going to be the utilizing the learning one, right? The learning one, the process one. But what ends up happening, and I prove this with my own projects, is the efficiencies, the crews that would go there and then understand it and realize that, oh, I can actually come there on a Tuesday. I know that by Tuesday night I'll be done. All of those efficiencies start actually bringing the build schedule down even more. So you're bringing up fabulous points about construction. There's always going to be things we're going to need to learn. A general contractor that has never done modular, there are differences, but they can be learned and they can actually be cultivated in a way that can actually bring great efficiencies. What do you think?
I agree with you, and that's why that responsibility matrix is so important. So basically, you have you just take it out, you break down. It's like a work breakdown structure. You break down every single task. You know, uh, plumbing, electrical, hot water heater, on, all the way down. And then you have the columns. You have, GC, subcontractor, factory, and you just kind of check the box. You even have the architect and the engineers in there, what their responsibility is. And really, it's going down. It's like checking the box. Hey, this is done. This is done. This is done. This is what I'm going to bid on. So it's really providing clarification to everyone on the project, but you brought up a good point. Not everybody understands it, and there is a learning curve, and it's just tough when you're the developer and you're on that side of the learning curve with the GC. You know what the whole process. You know what you're buying from the factory, but then you get a GC that doesn't know how to execute. I think if there's somebody out here who knows how to train people, wants to open up an offsite modular school to train general contractors on how to stack these in an efficient manner, I think that would be a great opportunity. I think we need that in the industry to grow more.
It exists, actually. We did an interview with Gary Vestmus. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. I'm so bad with names, but he is with Base 4. He actually created a school. He's got a university for individuals to understand being a general contractor and understanding what that looks like. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, it was called Stone Pile. That's the name of the university. So there are things that are existing, and we're actually seeing more and more programs for builders and developers from factories. And here's the thing that we also need to be clear about. Factories do provide a scope of work. They are typically on your side, on your team, working with the pre-construction team in order so that everybody can execute and communicate. This isn't something that we're rediscovering and redesigning. This already exists in most factories. It's a simple conversation and knowing and utilize a factory that you really trust. So these are things that happen in industry. All these conversations take place. It's just in order for you to understand them a little bit better. And again, go to the factory, go to the place where it's being built, so you can ask those questions and be very versed in the process. But now we're going to switch gears a little bit because I'm really interested in this prop tech. How is it changing the way that we work, live, and play? What is it? Tell me more, David.
All right. So prop tech, there's fintech and there's all kinds of tech. So really, it's just technology married with property. And and my I like to think of there's so many components of it. So we'll talk about basically how a few different ways. Okay, so number one, just think like there's a company out there called Honeywell. They make all these really cool little gadgets. Like at home, you might have like a Nest thermostat. You might have automatic light switches and all that. So those are actually prop tech. So they're creating efficiencies in real estate. They're allowing you to control it through your cell phone. There's other ones, virtual amenities for apartment buildings, for office buildings. So one system that I've been looking at and I'm interested in maybe deploying it here in the near future. There's actually a Honeywell system for homes, and I think it would be really cool for apartments. And that is where it's connected to your phone. So when you leave the house, it turns down your, say, it cycles on your refrigerator on and off every 30 minutes. So it's not constantly running. It might turn down your thermos or turn up your thermostat. So if it's summertime and you keep it on 70, it might push it up to 80. And 30 minutes before you come home, it realizes you're driving home. And all of a sudden, it takes your thermostat and it turns it back down to 70, 30 minutes before you get there. So you have a nice temperature. And the smart hot water heaters on and on about this technology you can incorporate. One technology that I really like, especially since we're talking, modular and we're talking multifamily. Uh, I think these virtual amenities are a big deal and they're an add value. They're great for developers, for landlords, for property managers, facility managers. So these are applications that actually connect the people in the building to each other. There's actually sort of like a virtual community you can create through the app. The other part is it kind of connects the people in the building to the building. So all of a sudden you have a community that's connected to the building. Just that way they all know what's going on. For example, maybe they have their leases or landlord notices, and guess what? Inside that app, there could be a vault where all the documents are stored. An opportunity for them to pay their rent on the app. An opportunity like, hey, my refrigerator's not working. They put it in the app, and then the property manager has so many hours to fix it. So all of this all automated, it's documented, it's there. The landlord sends out notices, it's in the app. So it's like the tenant said, I never received that. Guess what you did? Here it is. It's stamped. You got the notice, it went to your text message, your email, and your app, and you have it. And then the third part of this is where it connects the building to the community. So just hypothetically, uh, you have an apartment complex, 200 apartments. They're in the suburban area, and there's a shopping center and food and all that nearby. So the people can vote for the favorite food spots inside there. So it's just like a little group for the community. And then those people inside of that I'm sorry, like the property manager can reach out to say Joe's Pizza. Hey, Joe, guess what? You're like our favorite vendor inside of our apartment complex. How would you like to participate and offer a coupon a $5 slice of pizza and a Coke. And then he advertises, which generates more revenue for the landlord. He advertises inside there and offers his coupon. So I'm going to say prop tech is unlimited, and that can even be managed Wi-Fi. So a third party comes in, provides Wi-Fi to the landlord, just say 1 gig, 1, 2 gigs of Wi-Fi. He takes that and distributes it to all the apartments, charges the tenants just, hypothetically, $80 a month. It costs him $40 a month. So he makes 40. The company who's providing the internet makes 40. And all of a sudden, guess what? If you have 100 apartments, times that $40, you increase your net value of your asset, almost $2 million. I mean, it's just on and on. It's amazing. Prop tech adds value to the tenants, adds value to the landlord, adds value to the asset.
Amen. I think it's brilliant, and I can't wait to put more information in our show notes, actually show your video because it is spectacular, streamlining community, not only in the building, but also around the building is exactly what we need. We're all looking to connect. We're all looking for ease and we're all looking for help. And any ways that we can do that to increase the way that we live, then it's an added bonus for all of us. So in closing, is there anything else that you'd like us to know about buildings or prop tech?
Uh, Buildings, listen, I'm out here, helping companies. I found my niche is with, private equity firms. A lot of them don't have in-house development. So, I'm helping them with that niche. Just, skilled in all the different areas I talked about in the beginning, whether it's multifamily, office, industrial. And and on the other note about prop tech, uh, there are a lot of applications out there. I'm a big fan of it. I employ it. I think that, if anybody wants to, have a discussion offline about prop tech, I'd be more than happy to talk to them about it and see if there's an opportunity.
Wonderful. David Pearsons, an amazing individual that you just never know where you're going to meet people. And I was lucky enough to meet him at the World of Modular. I'm thrilled that he was here. I think that how he's contributing to real estate and finding the good dirt is really how it all begins. And then also helping all these other providers in different areas. Thank you so much for being here on Offsite Dirt, David.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. And I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you, Audrey.
Likewise, I can't wait. And there's the dirt on Offsite Dirt. It's always wonderful when you can go out there and meet someone. You never know what that next relationship can turn into. So always make a special, make it a special day, make it a special awareness where you go and you just meet somebody that you've never met before, because just like David and I, great things can happen for you in the future. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for being on Offsite Dirt. We're thrilled to have buildings and know a little bit more about prop tech. And for all of you that need more of that information, the resources will be there for you. Don't forget to like us, don't forget to share us and follow us. Thank you for being here.